What's up, G Show Land, and welcome to another edition of the G Show podcast. Today is the Friday Godzilla Block Party, and I am joined by a stacked cast. We're fully loaded today. On the panel with me today, I've got none other than a G95, of course. What's up, brother?
Hello, everyone.
That's right. Once again, we've got Chase, a.k.a. Megalon, joining us. What's up, brother?
It's going good. How about you?
You know the deal.
Yeah.
Joining us once again from lands unknown, we've got Shinji from GVA. What's going on, brother?
That's right, King of GVA in the house. I'm going to hold the punches today, Ray. I'm going to hold the punches because you're asking me. So I'm going to be holding back today, so nobody's going to get hurt. Okay, we're good.
That's good. That's good. Nobody falls into the gorilla pits, and we'll all walk out of this. And joining us, finally, I get him on the podcast, hanging out with us today, my main man, Al. What's going on, brother? Let them know you are the admin of the what page now?
I don't know.
You don't know. Of course not, but I'll let you know. Al, my buddy Al, is the admin of a very popular Godzilla page that has nothing to do with Godzilla in the title, which, you know, we can't say the same for ourselves. Oh, maybe I could. I'm just the G Show, so I get a pass. But, dude, you're from the Japanese Self-Defense Force page. Come on now. You know that. You didn't give it up that long ago.
Aren't you admitting back for it now, too?
I did. I got removed. I was doing a terrible job because I'm all the way up.
Needs more Al.
Needs to word, yeah. Is that why? He came back. That's why Al came back. Oh, man. But listen, man, thank you guys for joining us today. We're going to have a good time, good show. There's been a couple of things that happened this week, so let's get right into it. Starting with the latest bit of news, which would be the X Plus Bandai figures of the Kiryu's EVA units. They got EVA 1, EVA 2. We discussed this a couple of weeks back, where I was like, yeah, they're $7.11. And you know, G95 corrected me. He was like, no. No, I said they're coming out in 7-Eleven. And he was like, no, they're coming out on 7-Eleven. I was like, I'm sorry. You're right. But this thing's official now. We're getting some full-scale figures. They look absolutely stunning. And the price tag's a bit steep. You get 2 of them. And they're coming out in December. So we're going to jump right into it. G95. What are your thoughts on these 2 new figures? And let it rip.
Well, as I've said a million times before, Evangelion is one of my favorite animes, if not my favorite. So it's awesome that they're kind of bringing these 2 worlds together, sort of. You know, we've got the Mecha Godzillas, or Kiryus, the man-made mechas, fusing with the man-made mechas, the Evas from Evangelion, and the paint jobs look stunning.
Yeah, the paint jobs blew me away.
I might actually have to spend the however fucking much it is and get it.
Yeah, I hear that. Let me jump.
How much are they again?
$260. I'll tell you right now, $267 retail price.
Okay, I might not have to get them.
No, it didn't say each, and that's what I'm worried about. They better be together. I'll pay $267 for both of them at one time. But each, each. That's a man. I could get an X Plus figure. So I'm not an X Plus, a Monster Arts figure. So, but Al,
X Plus is notoriously expensive though, so it might be $260 a piece.
Well, let's hope not. Let's jump to Al, our newbie. Not that you're a newbie or nothing, but you know the deal. Al, man, what do you think about these new figures, bro?
Well, I've never personally seen the anime, which is terrible of me, I know. But I would buy them simply because the colors look totally amazing. I mean, just to see any variant of Kiryu is just me being just, it's totally awesome. The price tag is a bit high for me. I mean, I got college coming up and stuff. But if I had the money, I would buy 5.
I hear that. We're going to rock to Shinji because he's over there being quiet. And you know, when he's quiet, something's brewing. Shinji, what did you think about these figures, man? These they look amazing. What do you think, man?
Honestly, you know, I never got into I don't even know what it is. What is it? EVA? Evangelical? I don't know.
Evangelion.
But, yeah. I never got into it. As I told you before, I didn't grow up a nerd, a geek, or whatever it is. I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just not who I am. I'm just a big Godzilla enthusiast. But I do like that this is going on because this is going to bring more. A crossover effect has a bigger potential for Godzilla to hit other markets and for other people to see and experience what Godzilla is. And once again, just putting them into a household name. That's just more potential. I think it's great.
I agree. Chase, what's going on, brother? You've been my main man. You've been the source. So tell me, what do you think?
Is this our third figure now of the Kiyus? I
don't know if it's the third. I mean, I know the first ones were coming out.
Okay, because I know maybe it's just the two we have, the green and the red. But I don't know. I don't know. It's not that it's like necessarily a bad looking figure to me. It just doesn't appeal to me. Just because I don't know. I like the basic colors. Just like on the green one, it's not necessarily my typical pick of when I get a figure. But I just think that it's cool that they're promoting the movie this way, and like Shinji said, it's going to allow more markets for Godzilla to be explored in. But I just think that just like with the other SH Monster Arts, it just seems like a repaint, and I'm not too excited for it, but I don't hate it either. It just doesn't appeal to my taste.
No, I hear you. I totally understand where you're coming from. I personally like the way they look, and in all honesty, if they are boxed together at 267, I'm picking myself up one of those bad boys, and that's the truth. There was a bunch of other things that came out figure-wise for Shinji, and we're going to start with Shinji in a minute. You know what? Let me start with you, Chase, because you've been putting them all out. The Shin Godzilla figure that they were showing earlier this week. What was that from? Because it's completely slipping my mind right now. All I know is it looked awesome.
There are actually two they posted, but there's a whole bunch they just unleashed. But we got the Bandai Monster Series Shin Gojira, which is the 12-inch Bandai figure. They had of like the Final Wars figure. It's gonna and I think their Kiyu figure they had. It's gonna be about 12 inches. And then they had the Benny Presto being advertised too.
There it is.
So those are the two Shin Gojira figures we had.
So those are, see, that's why you're here, Chase. Thank you, brother. So I'm going to start with Shinji because, I know you're not into all that stuff, but I got to ask you, man, what did you think of these figures?
I really like the Bandai figure. I mean, the pictures of that were like, wow. I mean, that looked more than just a model. It looked really good. I want to pick one of those up for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Al, man, what did you think of those figures?
They're detailed, and obviously, being a Godzilla fan, I would totally pick one up. But because I'm still rather torn on the design, I can't necessarily say if I would be totally invested in buying a whole bunch or not.
No, I hate it. Go ahead.
It's tough.
You see, I like what he said there. You see G95, and we haven't, because he's new, we'll ask him that question later on in the show. But keep that thought in mind there, Al. G95, let me jump to you. What did you think of these new figures?
Regardless of how much or not, like how much I liked the Bandai figure or not, which I do like it a lot. Bandai always, more or less, always does a fantastic job. I'll get the Bandai figure regardless, just because that's the only line, more or less the only line of Godzilla figures that I can afford. So I gotta pick it up just because it's the one non-DVD or Blu-ray Godzilla thing that I can actually afford to collect. And the more the merrier, I suppose.
I hear that. I can't wait for them to release the Bandai second Godzilla figure that's going to be in Godzilla Resurgence. And of course, I'm lying, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea if that's the truth. That's my speculation. We've talked about that before. Jumping from the figures to the actual merchandise coming out, there's been a ton of cool things that they've been releasing. Starting with some of the G-Force stuff. I was like, whoa. Look at these, like, and of course I'm going to you, Chase, because you're the video game expert, and I can't. Care packages. It looks like a G-Force care package almost, right? Am I lying?
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, "That's amazing! I totally get one of those." From care packages to magnets to patches that you sew on or iron on your shirts, because me and Shinji, we're old. We used to iron on our stuff, right? You know that. But I mean, this is some really heavily. I don't think I've ever seen a Godzilla movie marketed as much as this particular movie. And I think they're doing a bang-up job. So, G95, I'm going to start with you, man. What do you think about this whole merchandise wave that we're getting hit with?
I think it's awesome. I mean, more publicity to the movie and more ways for it to make money means hopefully more Godzilla movies in the future. And that's basically the bottom line, is the more money this makes from any kind of revenue will generate more interest, I suppose, from Toho and maybe overseas distributors and all that, to where we can either see this movie in America or the UK or wherever you're at, somewhere other than Japan, and hopefully get more Godzilla movies down the line.
Yeah, I agree. Shinji, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think, again, like we talked about the last time I was on the show, this is a product of Godzilla 2014. I don't care how many guys out there hate the movie or have their qualms with the movie. This is what happens when a big-budget American film reaches the U.S. or the rest of the world even. You get merchandise. You get people know who the fuck, excuse me, my language.
That's okay. That's one.
You get everybody knowing who Godzilla is. And I think it's a great thing. It's about damn time. I mean, you and I, kind of older, so we've been through a time where there was nothing to buy Godzilla like anywhere. You had to dig in the trenches to find anything. So, like I said, it's just about time.
I totally agree, but let me ask you, because you made a good point there. We all have our varying opinions on G98, but G98 was a big marketed movie. I won't say it was a blockbuster, right? But the marketing for that movie, the toys, the merchandise, it was huge, if not bigger than G14. So when Godzilla 2000 came out to try to, squash that, there really wasn't nothing around. Like, Toho didn't go at it like they're going at it now. Do you think that's because of the money G14 made?
Absolutely. It grossed over $600 million worldwide. I mean, no Godzilla movie has ever seen anything like that. So, you're talking about the nowadays audience that's all about here and now and fast, and, something that's actually in the spotlight is going to be grabbing that kind of attention, of course.
I like that. Al, you have anything you wanted to add to that, or anything you want to say to that?
Well, going back to the merchandise, I was sold when you said G-Force. That just sounds. I would buy a ton of that.
Well, you do run a G-Force page, brother. So, yeah.
For college, got a hole just to buy all that.
But yeah, anything else, bro? Like, anything stands out? Just the G-Force stuff?
Pretty much. I mean, it's definitely an interesting scheme to be, rather than concentrating on trailers and online advertisements, they're going for more for merchandise, which tells me they're looking to strike at the fan base rather than a wider audience, because it would be the core fan base that would be interested in buying high-end merchandise that costs $50-something above dollars.
Yeah, you're right.
I find that a very interesting tactic. Whether it works or not remains to be seen.
I never thought of it that way. I'm going to my resident Godzilla expert Chase here. Brother, that was a really good point. Al just said, what's your thoughts on this?
No, that was an excellent point. And one thing to add to what Shinji said, not only did G14 make so much money, but just I think what it brought back hope to Toho by how many people were still invested in the character. But in the lines of the marketing, I mean, I would love to have a closet full of accessories, like that toolbox they had, that folding container, that duffel bag they had, the little sew patch and everything. And they had a little leg brace you can put on too. That stuff's really cool. I'm into that stuff. And I mean, I have a shirt that's in storage, and I got the Alien. This is off topic, but Alien vs. Predator Collector's Edition, the game when it came out, and it came with a Wayland Yutani sew patch, and I sewed that on just a black shirt, and I wear it around Halloween and act like I work for Wayland and stuff. So stuff like that's really cool. And when I saw the G-Force patch, I was like, I'll just go with a G-Force soldier for Halloween.
That's it. Get the cool hat. I think my favorite G-Force hat might. Well, there was two actually. Mickey had a cool G-Force hat on, and I think it was Destroyer, which
The little
Shinji's
beret.
wearing. Yeah, and in the first Kiru movie, there was it Kiru or was it? It wasn't G-Force. It was G-Graspers, right? That was Mega Gearus, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool hat, man. No, wait, was it? Or was it Kiru? Kiru had a really cool hat. There was a cool design on that hat, man. I remember that much.
Oh, yeah, the logo.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I would, even though I'm not a fan of those movies, I would rock that hat, no problem. But yeah, dude.
You're not a fan of the Millennium series?
Well, listen, you want to jump on that topic? There's more than enough of us here. We can do that. Yeah. Now, you want to jump on that topic? I'll put it like this. I like the Millennium series. It's a short series.
That should have been completed.
The Showa series, for me, had more, and I am a diehard Hesse fan. So, I like Godzilla 2000. I adore GMK. And I am a gigantic fan of Final Wars. That, to me, is where it ends. I like Mega Gearus a bit, but every time I watch it, the more I watch it, the more I can't stand it. And I'm not a fan of the Kiru Saga. I'm just not. Now,
is it pronounced Hesse or is it Heisei? Or how do you say that?
Any way you want to on this podcast. So,
I say high side.
you say Heisei. He says Heisei. G95 says Hesai. I say Hesai. Whatever is rolling off the tongue at the moment. Let's call it the 90s saga. Okay, we'll call it that. This way,
it's kind of like the question of how do you pronounce bacon or baggin or bacon.
That's a good one.
Bacon. It's bacon.
But yeah, so you know what? That's an interesting topic. So I already said my spiel on that. I'm gonna start with Al. Cause we'll come back to you, Chase. I'm gonna start with you, Al. Al, what did you think of the Millennium Saga?
Well, Tokyo SOS is actually one of my favorite Godzilla movies. I don't really know why. I guess it's just one of the first ones I saw, and I just fell in love with it, and I make sure to watch it like every month. So, the Q Saga is something I personally one of my favorite series, the few that there are in the actual Godzilla series. I think my least favorite one would be Mechagearus. I don't know what it was about that one. It's the plot or whatever. I just didn't.
I hear you.
It didn't work for me.
I hear you. I'm going to go with Shinji. I think I know the answer to this question. Godzilla Final Wars. No, I'm just kidding. What are your thoughts on the Millennium Saga, brother?
The Millennium series is usually not a favorite of most people, unless it's one of those those are the first movies that the person saw. Being older, I have more nostalgia towards Showa because that's what I grew up with. So, I mean, I would pick that as my favorite series and the high side right behind it. But Millennium series definitely has its pluses. The effects were the best of all of them. I think where they kind of lost it with the Millennium series is that they didn't keep that tight storyline that the High Side series did. And I I think it suffered for it. I mean, if GMK is obviously my favorite of all of them, and then followed by Final Wars and the Kiri saga, and then I'm not too big on the 2000 series, to be honest with you. I liked the design, but it just wasn't there up for me all the way. But I can't knock it. I can't say it's the absolute worst. I just don't think it's the favorite among the three.
I hear you. Chase, what about you, bro? What's your thoughts on the Millennium Sagas?
I like the Millennium series. Godzilla 2000 and Kiyu Goji are my favorite. Two of my favorite designs. Bio Goji is my favorite design. But I feel like with Megaguirus, they kind of tried to add a little bit of silliness and humor to it with Godzilla. That big swan dive he does towards the end of the movie on top of Megaguirus.
Don't remind
me. I mean, that part kind of, it just kind of ruined the movie for me. Just because, Godzilla has always done, every once in a while, certain,
kooky
cheesy things.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, to me, that's kind of more cheesy than the little dance he does on Planet X. But what I really would have liked with the Millennium series was them to continue after Tokyo SOS, because if you watch after the credits, they set it up for some kind of cliffhanger, and they do not get into that at all. And that's kind of like a big middle finger to me, and because I loved Against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS, and just to see that, I like that design so much, to see it again would have been great. But yeah, it's not my favorite. Like when I was growing up and my dad showed me these Godzilla movies, it was back and forth with me. I didn't really realize Showa, Heisei, Millennium till 2014 came out, when I got back into Godzilla and started, reading all this and getting all the movies in order. And so I was watching, Millennium movies during, before I finished the Heisei series, and I would go back and forth. So I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but I think I do have to say GMK, though, out of all of them in that series, has to be my favorite, just because of I enjoyed the story of that one a lot.
This is why we're friends.
I thought the story that was good, and I felt like it was just one of the better produced Godzilla films in the Millennium series. It seemed to have like a lot of effort to it, and that's what I thought was good about it. I really liked it for that. I give it an admiration for that.
I hear you. G95, your thoughts on the Millennium series?
I used to consider it my favorite until I got kind of deep into the Heisei, however you want to say it.
The 90s.
The 90s saga, yeah, and that whole linear story. But I'll kind of break it down like movie by movie, I guess. So, Godzilla 2000, easily top 5 for me. By far and away, favorite design. Just love the purple spines and how they're sharp and jagged, and how Godzilla looks like more feral. And it was a triumphant return from, or
98.
Like, not really return, but like slap in the face, or like this is the real Godzilla, as opposed to what we got in 98. Megaguirus, I have a kind of interesting story about. That was the one Godzilla movie I think I didn't watch as a kid, even though I rented it probably a dozen times. I never actually got to watch it because as a little kid, I wasn't into the whole subtitles thing, so I just wanted to watch the dubbed version. And the copy at my local rental store never had, or it was damaged, so the dubbed version wouldn't work. So I never got to see it. And I finally, when I was, around 2 years ago, when I was buying all of them on DVD and stuff, I finally got it, finally watched it, and I was like, wow. Like, as a little kid, Megaguirus just really, really stuck with me. Same thing, the cover, like how fucking scary that thing looked. And sorry for the F-bomb.
That's
Didn't
two.
mean to. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we'd have to be censored going into this. I'll watch it.
Well, no, we don't have to be censored. Shinji needs to be censored.
I'm holding back. Believe me, I'm holding back.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Remember, I gotta pay you later for this one. But go ahead, G95. I'm sorry.
Anyway, the cover of Megaguirus, like the scary monster on the front, just really stuck with me. And then when I finally watched it, I was like, wow, that's disappointing. And that's pretty much how I feel about that movie. GMK is brilliant. I think all of us can more or less agree on that it's a brilliant movie. Just all around really well crafted and great storytelling and great new take on Godzilla. Kiyu, or Against Mechagodzilla, was another one of those covers that really stuck with me. Like, I saw this new Mechagodzilla, and the cover looked like they were in some kind of like digital world almost because of the background, and I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I really wanted to see it. And that was another movie I saw kind of later on, and as a kid, I don't think I would have appreciated it as much, but I think it's one of the deeper Godzilla movies, like in terms of subtext and overall plot and stuff. And plus, I love the design of how Godzilla's neck and chest are more or less like I love the thick neck, how he looks like Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse and stuff. Just that big, thick neck.
Burly look.
Yeah, burly, yeah. So that movie has come to be third or fourth favorite of the Millennium Saga. It's definitely up there with one of my favorites of all. Tokyo SOS, I've never really enjoyed that much. I always thought it was kind of boring and maybe a little bit too aimed for kids. Also because I've never been a huge Mothra guy. I know I'm going to get butchered for that, but
Yeah.
Mothra's
I'm with
always
you.
been a
I'm
little
with you 100%, Matt. I don't mean to. I'm sorry. I'm just butting in here, but I'm totally agreeing with you.
Let me
No,
go ahead.
Mothra is kind of not cheesy, but just a little bit too
Goody two shoes.
goody two shoes.
I don't want to hear nothing. If a giant morph, it don't have to be Mothra, but if a giant morph landed on your shoulders, I bet you any amount of money, both of y'all be like, God, because I know I would.
That thing would be flatter than my last pizza. Let me tell you.
Oh, jeez. But go ahead, G95.
Plus, Tokyo SOS is a movie that I saw right around when it came out on DVD, and at that point I hadn't seen Against Mechagodzilla, so I was kind of confused as to what was going on, why Mothra and Mechagodzilla were teaming up against Godzilla, and why he had this big scar on him and stuff, and I didn't get it. But, I've grown to appreciate it a little bit more. It's just never been one of my favorites. And finally, that leads us to Final Wars. Hands down, my all-time favorite Godzilla movie. Don't care what anybody says.
Your all-time
ever.
favorite Godzilla movie? I thought we had a conversation about this before, dude. I thought it was like 1985.
No, I think 85 is up there with like the most probably poignant Godzilla movies and most deep, but Final Wars is the one that I've watched over and over and I go back to.
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. G95's favorite Godzilla movie of all time is Godzilla Final Wars. Now, I'm not mad at him. I'm not, because I actually love that movie. Okay? It is my second favorite of the Millennium Saga, but holy shit, that's one for me. G95 with some breaking news.
Well, whenever I have friends over who I force Godzilla down their throat, because I'm the only Godzilla fan out of all of my friends, except for you lovely people.
Oh, shucks.
But that's the one I turn on, just because I think it's an introduction to that entire world because there's so many monsters, because it's a collection of it's a celebration of the Showa era. It's got references to the Heisei era. It's got a very tooth millennium feel to it, and it's got a pretty good soundtrack.
To an extent.
And those aren't the reasons why it's my favorite, but that's why I think it's a good introductory for anybody new to Godzilla.
You know,
why is it your favorite?
Why is it his favorite?
Yeah. Oh god, that's a good question. I don't really know. It's the one that I found the most rewatchable as a kid.
Okay.
Probably just because of a really simple story that was very straightforward, and they liked the cool special effects and liked Zilla getting blown up and with Sum 41, which it's a band that I don't even care for that much, but that was a cool song.
That was a cool song.
I don't know. It's just always stuck with me. I know it's not the best Godzilla movie. I know it's not the most well-made, or it doesn't have the best special effects, or it's not the deepest or anything, but it's just the one that's really stuck with me, and that's my favorite.
Listen,
I think, in terms of being like most well-made, I think it's a three-way tie between Gojira, 85 or 84, and versus Destroya.
Wow. Shinji, everything I got out of these guys made me realize one thing, brother.
What's that?
We are dinosaurs. We are old, brother.
I think old. I say it every time. I'm a little older. I'm a little older than you guys. I think I'm like twice as old as some of you guys.
Let me tell you though, but you know what though? It's the youth that keeps this going, and you know what? From us, it was them. From them, it will be the next generation, and hopefully, Toho continues a trend. Which brings me to this.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I gotta add too. I mean, when we were their age, like I said earlier, we didn't have these outlets. We didn't have anything to go to. I mean, the internet wasn't even around when we were their age.
Well, you know what? We did have television because in our time, the Showa movies were kind of on a constant play. They were constantly playing, and this is before cable. I'm talking about
right.
It's now the WB.
The day after Thanksgiving, there'd always be a marathon.
The day after Thanksgiving, there'd be a marathon, and then there'd be some random weekends in the summer. You put it on Fox, and you get to. If it's not Kung Fu, you get a Godzilla movie. So
yeah.
But I agree, we didn't have it the way everybody nowadays have it. The way we have it now is unbelievable. You just type in Godzilla, and then you can watch a movie.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, but that brings me to this question. I want to ask all of you guys: where would Shin Godzilla fall? Are we bringing a new generation in, or is this going to be a millennium? Even though it's like 12 years later, would this be considered millennium, or is this a brand new series starting off? I'm gonna start with Al because he's been quiet. What's up, brother?
I think we had the same question with Godzilla 2014. No one knew where to put it. I can almost see 2014 Shin Gojira being almost competing series. So I can see this being like a new series where it's like the battle of America and Japan, who can make the better Godzilla movie.
The Legendary series.
Yes.
Oh shit, Chase. What about you, brother? What do you think?
Well,
come up with a name.
From what I've read about it, Toho has said that if Shin Godzilla does well, they want to continue the series, and do as many more films, and I'm totally okay with that. But I think for right now, after what Legendary did, I think this new generation of Godzilla films. I think I would agree with Al. It deserves to be called the Legendary series. Even though maybe Shin Gojira isn't Legendary Shin Gojira, it's still, with Godzilla 2014, and just Legendary. I mean, Legendary Godzilla just sounds cool. And I think at this point in time, I think it's kind of well-deserved if they call it Legendary series. Or, I can see them calling it the Resurgence series,
Whoa.
which I don't know how I really feel about that, but I can roll that up at the tip of my tongue too. But I don't know. I mean, my biggest concern is what's going. I mean, will we know more after Godzilla Resurgence or what? And is this going to be the design for the rest of the franchise or what? But I think, yeah, I think Legendary Series would be quite fitting for it.
Nice. What about you, Shinji? What do you think?
I don't think that Toho is going to call this a Legendary series. I think that is going to belong to Legendary. I think whatever, if they're going to do a trilogy for, Godzilla Legendary, that's going to be its own series, and has nothing to do with whatever Godzilla is going to have. I did also hear that it's going to have, a couple movies behind it. I think that also depends on how well it does. And if it does, I think it could be the Shin saga or the Shin series. I don't know at this point. I mean, a lot of those terms are all also fan made. They don't. That's not an official Toho title. But either way, I'm just happy it's happening. That's why I can't stand all these people that are just hating on it, because those people that hate on it are the people that are blocking and stopping it from actually progressing.
No, hey, and I want to say something. Before you said that, I was going to say the same thing. If I had to name it, I'd probably name it the Shin series also. But let me get G95's take on this, bro. What's up? What do you think?
I totally agree with both Anthony or Shinji and you, G1. I'd call it the Shin series or Resurgence series. I think 2014 should be called the Legendary series. If but I think it's too early to get into the labeling for these movies. There's one movie of there's 2014, and then there's Shin Gojira. Are they really series at this point? Not so much, no. And I mean, Showa, Heisei, and Millennium, they didn't get their titles for the series until it was either almost over or totally over. I remember around 2004 is around when people started calling it the Millennium series, and that's when it ended. I don't know exactly at what point Showa and Heisei came up, or started being thrown around as terminology, but I'm sure it wasn't right around 84, 89, or like 54 or something. We could want to call these the Showa series, the Heisei series. I don't think that was the furthest thing from their mind.
I gotta interject real quick as far as the Millennium thing goes, because they were actually calling it Millennium like right after G2K came out. And I remember this because when I went to G-Fest in 2001, we got to see, they brought a screening of Megaguirus, and they dubbed it the continuation of the Millennium Saga. So that was 2001. So that name's been around for a while. Longer than 2004, I would say.
I guess that's when I became aware of this.
Gotcha.
Still, I think it's a little bit early to be like. I mean, Millennium makes sense because it was Godzilla 2000. That one makes a little bit more sense, but I think it's just a little bit too early to be throwing around labels. I mean, Millennium Saga or series isn't really that much of a series. Kiyu, those are the only two movies that are actually connected. 2000 and Megaguirus share the same design, and that's about it. There's GMK is in its own world, Final Wars is its own world, and there's no overarching story to really any of them. You could kind of find a somewhat common thread through the Showa series, but it's not, it's not really one linear story. So, and who knows where I guess more or less the Shin series is going to go. It could be totally unrelated movies after this.
I gotcha. And with that being said, we've come to the moment in our podcast where we like to invite our newest member, and that would be you, Mr. Al, to tell us your feelings, because everybody has already done that. Tell us your feelings on Shin Gojira. What do you think about what you've seen so far, the look of it? How are you feeling towards this movie?
For the design itself, I'm rather torn. I mean, obviously they want to make them nightmarish, and they've done that. And they were going to do that with 2014, and I don't think they did. So I like that he's terrifying, and I like that. I like that he's gone back to being an allegory for like what happens when some minutia. But I almost think they've taken it to an extreme, because you get the 2014 movie, and now you've got kids who are going to the movie and they're like, "Oh, Godzilla's awesome now," because they've never really gotten to experience him before, because it was a theatrical release in the U.S. And so you're bringing to them now this horrific thing, and it's like, ew. I mean, it's just, I like the nightmarish look of it, but I almost think they went a bit too far. But it's Godzilla, so, you know, obviously I'll support it and I'll watch it. You know, I'm not going to freak out because he looks like he got hit by a train. You know. In terms of the trailer, I love the trailer because there's like tanks, guns, helicopters. And
Somebody
yeah.
watched my trailer reaction, because I said all that with emphasis.
Yeah. The tail gets me though. The tail gets me. It's kind of like it's out there. It's like, I don't even biologically, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a tail like that huge. I mean, maybe they're just trying to make them bigger and more fearsome, but or maybe there's some weird plot thing that hasn't been revealed yet. But I just don't get that part. I feel like it's gonna be a little bit irksome. I mean, he gets in a fight and he could be tripping over like good old 64. I mean, it's clumsy.
Totally.
I see that being a little bit of a problem, but overall, I thought it was a very good return to the horror that Godzilla is supposed to be.
I like that response. I really do. That was really good. I think it mirrors a lot of our responses in one way or another. I'm with you with the look. I'm not too sold on it yet. I know my panel here kind of like it. When you said, this was very interesting what you said. We have the children now who saw G14 all enamored with Godzilla. Kind of like the same way when you guys are telling us about the Millennium Sagas, the Millennium series, you guys saw that for the first time and you're like, wow, okay, what is this? And then all of a sudden you get this boom, nightmare. It looks completely different. Now I know Shinji on our last special edition was straight up like, and I'm going to go, fuck the kids. You know what I'm saying? I think I quoted you.
Yeah, I know everybody has an asshole, and it stinks. But my opinions smell like roses. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I mean, it's interesting to think like that, you know, because on one way we're all adults now, right? We're all adults. Some older than others, but we're all adults. And then you tend to forget about those younger fans. The kids we used to be watching it for the first time. What we got, all of us here, was consistency with the look. The only one that wasn't was G98, and, you know, that was America's first attempt, and it didn't work out. But when you see G14, there's no doubt about it. That's Godzilla, you know? And every incarnation, whether it was an ugly Showa incarnation or a really puffy, fat Hesai incarnation or like, you know, a wild, crazy reimagination like G2K, it was Godzilla. We all recognize that. When we see this thing, though, it's like, whoa, what? We all had a reaction. We all had a reaction. Whether it's positive or negative, there was a reaction. Whether or not Toho was going for that, kudos, you know? So, but that was a very interesting point, man. I never really, like, thought about it, like, put yourself in the children's position, because we were all there. We just had stability. This is not stable. But let's throw all that aside. Let's get to the nitty-gritty of this podcast. One of my favorite topics right now. We're going to go right into it. Let's talk about some of Godzilla's most badass moments. Okay, because, I mean, there's been plenty. All right? And I'm going to start with you, G95. Top of your head, give me one of your most favorite badass Godzilla moment.
Well, it's kind of coming all full circle on me. Got to go with scene in Final Wars where Godzilla takes down Zilla. Just short, sweet, to the point. They were saying those Toho giving the finger to TriStar, and they did it in the best way possible.
Man, if that was a game of Hangman, dude, you wouldn't even have a head. That shit was so short. Come on now.
It was cool.
That fight lasted 20. Not even. The scene was 20 seconds. The fight was about 6.
Yeah, it stuck with me. We're talking badass moments.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was about to say I apologize. You're right. It is the most badass moment, and that was a badass moment.
Short moment. That's a sweet, to the point moment, and it says it's subversive. It goes deeper than just that was really cool. That's Toho giving the finger to TriStar. Like,
2 fingers.
Look at your mistake. Look at how we did it. And plus, there's the cool Sum 41 song playing over it.
That makes it the most badass scene in Godzilla history. Chase, what is, off the top of your head, the first most badass Godzilla moment for you?
You want all of them or some of them?
The first one that comes to your head.
The first one that comes to my head is the one that stuck with me since I was a kid, and that's when Godzilla emerges from the volcano in Godzilla vs. Biollante. That scene I remember so vivid. So clearly, and it's probably one of my favorite scenes in history of all the movies I've seen because it's just. I remember as a kid seeing that, and at the time. I like would rewind the movie. That would be my favorite part. I would make sure I paid attention as a kid at that scene. When that clock in the truck hits 0 before the bomb goes off, I always made sure I was in front of my TV and watching that. And that's my favorite part. Just when he comes out and he's roaring out of the volcano, and then it's all hell from there. That's my favorite part.
I can't argue with that. That is actually a very badass scene, bro. I cannot. That's one of my favorites, man. That scene almost made me cry. Shinji, I want to hear top of your head.
You mean aside from every single fight in GMK? Aside from those?
Aside from those badass fights in GMK, yes.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess I can condense it to one. Honestly, it was, my other tied for first place favorite Godzilla movie, which is Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla in 1974. The part where Mechagodzilla's shooting Godzilla in the neck, Godzilla's falling down, breathes fire right at Mechagodzilla's neck, and they both go down together and both come up together. I think that scene was one of the first, big action shots. I mean, Godzilla's been in fights before, but this was like a new cinematography for Godzilla. It was highly action-paced. And not only that, Mechagodzilla was beating the crap out of Godzilla. That whole movie, that was the first hit Godzilla really got in on him. And it's the only thing that seemed to really hurt Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla was kicking everybody's ass. And that was the point where I think I jumped up and I was like, yeah, get him, Godzilla! So that was probably my favorite badass Godzilla moment.
So I cannot argue with that, bro. I cannot. Yo, Al, man, off the top of your head, one of your most favorite badass Godzilla moments.
I'm going to have to go with the end of Godzilla against Mechagodzilla after the absolute zero cannon was used at the end, and you get, what's-her-name standing on Godzilla's shoulder, and Godzilla just comes out of the water and starts walking away, and it's just you just used their biggest weapon that cost billions of dollars to build, and he's still walking around, and it's how the hell do you kill this thing? I mean, it just like walks away like it's nothing. I mean, his chest is torn to shreds, but oh, there he goes off into the distance. It's like, oh shit.
I totally, damn, y'all got not for nothing, man. Those are some pretty badass moments. Even yours, G95, I can't lie, man. That actually is a badass moment. I'm gonna mirror Shinji though. I think one of my all-time, off the top of my head, most badass moments in a Godzilla film is not Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, but Terror of Mechagodzilla. His first appearance, Titanosaurus is wreaking havoc. All of a sudden, blue atomic breath, Titanosaurus goes down, silhouetted in the darkness. Here comes the light. The march hits. There's Godzilla. Badass! I was like, yeah! Kick his ass! It's just like
definitely getting the chills when that part happened. Hell yeah!
It's like honestly, it's like one of the most greatest. And Chase. Same thing goes for him coming out of the volcano. Those are some of the greatest Godzilla appearances in any Godzilla movie, man. Godzilla coming out of the volcano in Biollante, and that sequence in Terror of Mechagodzilla way. He's just dancing, like you actually see him come up, but it's all dark. It's a shadow, and you're like, "Did I see that? Did I just see that?" You rewind the tape, you know, because it's 1986 or 7. No, it might. Yeah, it was probably 1986. You rewind the tape. Did I just see that? Was that a hump coming over the building? What was that? Then all of a sudden, there's the blue flame. Oh, what? And boom. Oh man, there's even like a glint in his eye from the light to the studio, but it works because it's like, no, that's just Godzilla's glint in his eye. It's awesome, and it's just a badass moment, man. And then the music hits. Woo! Yeah, I'm sorry, man. All right, we're gonna go around one more time. We're gonna get another badass moment, and we're gonna start this time. We're gonna start with Al. You go first, brother, and come back towards me.
Oh boy. Well, I don't know if this necessarily qualifies as Godzilla, but I liked it when Godzilla spent all this time going after Destroyer. He's like beating him down, and the JSTF just comes in and destroys Destroyer for him. It's like they just stole it. And I thought that was the best thing ever, because it's like, see, we can kill them. We're
That's really good. That's really good. That's good. Podcast over. That's it. We can kill them.
That's it. It's over.
Here goes number 2. Fuck a Jaeger. We don't need the Jaegers. They can go boof it, bro. Oh my god. Yo, Al, that was a good one.
We got one.
The most powerful kaiju ever. Goodbye. We got him. Oh, man. Oh, Shinji, man. Top that.
Fuck. You know, I don't know if I can top it, but I already said every fight scene in GMK, but honestly, when you watch GMK, that fight with Baragon, where he sends Baragon flying from his tail, and he goes into the helicopter, I can't tell you how hard I was laughing with that. It's still badass in my opinion, but I think that scene is definitely worth a badass moment.
Definitely is. And I thought you were going to say when Godzilla like cracks the smile, because that was a badass smile.
I mean, that whole movie, you know what I mean? I was GMK Godzilla on GBA forever, but now I'm all hyped for Shinji, so I'm Shinji now.
Oh, Chase, give me another badass moment in Godzilla lore, bro.
Oh, gosh. It's mixed with... I got 2 of them on my brain right now, and when I think of them, they both pop up. So, I don't know. I'll have to go with in Mothra versus Godzilla when he pops out of the dirt.
Woo!
When they're all hanging out and they're like looking in the horizon and everything, and they see that boat and everything, and all of a sudden they point out, oh, the ground's moving, and then you just see his tail burst out of the ground, and he just rips out of the dirt and everything like that, and it's like he's been taking dirt naps since he fought King Kong. So that part always sticks with me. But just a fast one, my third one would probably have to be in King Ghidorah when he emerges out of the water, when he's like officially back in the film, when he comes out of the ocean and they're going over on the helicopter, that's tied. Because when I think those two kind of remind me of the same scene for some reason.
You know what?
But yeah, I have to go with 64.
I like that because there's something about that particular scene in King Ghidorah that always stands out to me. It's the way he comes up. He comes out of the water and kind of like shifts his body around. Like I loved
it makes
that.
him look massive.
Yes,
very massive.
I totally agree with you. That is a badass scene. That's a badass moment. Oh man, good one. G95.
Well, Chase stole mine. I was going to go with the 64 reveal, too. And yeah, that was mine, Chase. I was going to use that.
All right, I'll interject for you. How's this? Because mine, after Al's, was nothing to compare to. I'm just going to throw in another opinion. And that is when Godzilla 1984, he appears at the shore, and he just comes up, and all the army is like shooting at him and doing their whole thing, and Godzilla's like, you know what? Fuck you. Just atomic breath them all in one little blast, and they're all gone.
And right before he does that, though, they do that close up of his eye, and he's just like focused. He's lasered in. I got you. Boom! Badass moment number 2. Oh,
well, the one I think I am gonna have to go with, since Chase took mine, is the entire fight in Godzilla Raids Again between Godzilla and Anguirus.
that's good. That's good.
That is easily one of the most brutal, like, aggressive and overtly violent fights in all of Godzilla history. And I love the fangs on his design, so that's what I gotta go with.
That's banana oil, and you know it.
That is a good one, and I'm going to close out this one with saying I'm going to jump like Shinji, great minds think alike, going with 1984-85. One of my most badass Godzilla moments when he finally takes down that Super X. That thing goes down, and he drops a building on it, and then looks at the screen like no fucks are given. Bam! Most badass Godzilla moment right there. Listen, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight on this podcast. I really had a blast with all you guys. Seriously, this is what it's about. We get together, we talk Godzilla, and we show the fandom that there is nothing but love. It don't matter where we come from, whether it's a PG page or a hard-R NC-17 page. And I'm looking at you, Shinji. But this is what we can do. Yeah. But yeah, so down the line, Al, man, thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate that. Anytime you want to come back on, you know the doors are open. Shinji, I don't even say nothing.
What up, yo?
Chase,
Aww.
once again, it's been a pleasure having you on, brother.
Well, thank you all for letting me join. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And of course, G95, we did it again.
Oh, yeah. Until next time.
Until next time. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, for the best damn Godzilla podcast I've ever been on, because it is the only damn Godzilla podcast I've ever been on. This is G1 signing off for the G Show. Peace.